going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Stop. Before we start this video off, my eyes are still messed up. I don't know what the fuck happened. Don't worry, they're getting better.
I think you look better with your eyes like that.
What we're doing in this video, we are working on the brakes and then we're working on the wiring harness. So as you guys know, I don't have the brake booster in this car right now. That's one thing you need in a car is like brakes. Unlike Jude here, I actually want brakes in my car because he thinks you can drive a car without any brakes.
No, I don't. I mean, it's not.
As you guys know, if you have been watching my previous videos, I have a BMW E34 brake booster with an E30 clevis pin on it, and that setup will actually work in your E30 with a 24 valve swap. E34 booster will bolt into the E30 and you just need the clevis pin, and then the E32 master cylinder will bolt onto the E34 booster. But the nice thing about the E32 master cylinder is they have both 11 millimeter line thingies, and the E34 has an 11 and a 12. I forget, but they aren't the same as the E30, but the E32 has the same fittings as the E30. So if you get the E34 brake booster with the E32 master cylinder, it will work, and you have more braking power than stock. We're gonna go with E46 M3 brakes because we're doing a 5-lug swap. So when I have my bigger brakes, the stock E30 master cylinder won't move enough fluid. Some people care about it, some people don't. Some people say that it gives, like, when you have real big brakes with a smaller master cylinder, it gives a funny feeling. When you would really notice it is if I would put like a huge 6-piston caliper that needs a lot of fluid and then the stock master cylinder just doesn't push enough. But I'm just rambling on about this, so we're gonna get to it. What I'm gonna do right now is we are going to hop into the wiring side of things on the body harness. We are going to actually tuck it in between the fender and the frame rail. Before we get into that, I filmed me painting the brake booster and doing some other work, so we're gonna cut to that right now. This is gonna be the part of the video where I'm gonna say, like, we cut to this part, but I have the brake booster here. This is actually a E34 brake booster, and then I have my E32 master cylinder. So I just ran to Hubba's real quick and I got some of that like epoxy enamel paint that I use to paint my engine bay. What I'm gonna do right now is I'm going to run over this thing, like I'm just gonna sand it up, get all the old nasty paint off of it. And then I'm gonna throw some paint on it, and then once that dries, we're gonna throw some clear on it. And then by that time, when that's all dry, Jude should be here, then we should be filming and, you know, doing all that stuff. So we're just gonna get to it. Alright guys, so I have the brake booster sanded down. Didn't go crazy with it, I just wanted to smooth it all out so it'll look good when we throw the paint on. I have some wax and grease remover. I'm gonna go over this thing with some wax and grease remover real quick, and then we're gonna lay down a coat of paint. Alright, so I just sanded the brake booster, then I laid down another coat of primer, and it actually came out pretty good. So now we're looking all like uniform. So we're gonna go ahead and lay our first base coat on this, and then let it dry, then lay a couple more, then lay clear. So I have the brake booster painted. I got all the coats on it. It is looking good. I did like 4 coats just because, like, I don't know. I just felt like it. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take my 2K clear. This is the same can like that you punch a thing in the bottom. I'm gonna clear it, and then I'm probably gonna do a couple coats of clear just so I can like get that nice shine that the engine bay has. I just got done painting the brake booster. I finished up the clear coat. I just forgot to record me painting, but I have this little like rig set up out of this like foam playmat. 70 degrees today, so I have my garage doors open, but it just got a little bit colder, so it's like the paint isn't gonna dry the fastest and it's not gonna dry the hardest. But what I did, I set up this like little box thingy, and then I have my heater in here, and then I have the heat blowing into it, and you guys can see it came out pretty damn well. Kind of rigged that one up, but it's gonna work. What does Bear Grylls say? Improvise, adapt, overcome. So I guess now I'm gonna jump back into the normal video. And we're back, baby. So you guys just saw me paint the brake booster. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I didn't just want to paint the brake booster and be like, here, I magically painted my brake booster. It's in there drying right now, you know, my little rig that I rigged up so it could like stay in the heat and dry. But what we're gonna do now is before we get to the brake booster, I want to get the wiring harness tucked away. It's just a bunch of 8mm that hold this fender on. I actually only have 2 on this fender just because I knew I was gonna be taking it back off. Dude, my eyes are so fucked up. I just can't wait till they look normal again and I look like a normal human being.
Dude, I think you look fire, I'm not gonna lie.
Bro, I look like I haven't slept in 40 years. Man, look at that quality. Come on. Come on, babe. Oh, man, there we go. And just like that, the fender's off. Dude, look how dirty that is.
Yeah.
I should probably power wash that. If you guys can see right here, there's this hole that comes down along here. This is where we're gonna be pulling the wires out through.
Seems like a lot of wire.
Well, we're gonna take this apart. The game plan is I'm going to drill a hole in the fender. So right here, you guys can see this is where the wire comes out of the fuse box, right there. And then we're gonna cut this open in here so we can get to the wires. And then we're gonna take this harness apart, feed all the wires through that. And then once we feed all the wires through that, we're gonna drill a hole through here. And then all the wires will come out of there into our headlights, into like our fan and all that stuff. This is nerve-wracking right now. I'm drilling a hole into my pristine E30. I guess for the shaved bay. I guess we're just gonna send it for the shaved bay. I'm just gonna throw this one in there. Not measuring anything, not doing anything. We're just gonna guess, and if I fuck it up, I fuck it up. I'm just kidding. I'm like looking like where it's gonna come out. Mark it right there. Ugh, real slow. Take it real slow. Stressful. Here we go. We're sending it. We're sending it.
Nice. Can you do that again?
What?
I just want to make sure you did it right.
We just got our hole finally drilled. A bit nervous doing it. First time, you know, drilling holes. So before we start feeding the wires through, I don't want to cut or like gouge into any of the wires with, you know, the jagged edge. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use this vacuum hose and I'm gonna go around it like that. I'm gonna cut this thing down the center, just like this. You can see how that will open up now. We can feed it along. It will kinda. Yeah, that's just like that.
Good. Wow.
That's actually pretty cool. That's a cool little tech tip coming from JD over here. You got them edges sealed off, Jude. If you can show that in there, that looks pretty good. Now it's all dirty in there, but like we got a little gasket in there, so it's all nice. It's dirty in here, but we'll clean it up. But we have our O-ring on the hole now, so now we aren't going to have any jagged holes and everything cutting into our wires. Now we're gonna go through the wiring harness and basically feed everything into there and then feed it through there. I just thought of something. Actually, Jude made me think of this. Here we have the wiring harness and you guys can see it's almost like in 2 parts. There's this cluster of wires right here, or like this is all for the front, like all the lights and everything. This is the ABS connector. We aren't gonna be needing this. This is gonna get cut right out. What I am actually thinking of doing is I am thinking of cutting this harness right there. If you can imagine this wiring harness coming through the fender here and then it's stopping right here, we'll probably cut it off at this ground. We can just have it on a connector just like that, so we can connect them, and then this connector will sit in there, and then anytime we need to unconnect them, just unscrew it and then pop them out. It's gonna make our life so much easier. It's gonna take a little bit more time. I'm gonna have to order a C101 plug, but in the long run, it's just gonna be way better, way simpler, and I have to go through all this horse shit and clean up all this wiring. What I'm gonna do right now is I'm going to strip off all of this wiring tape because me and Jude need to figure out where we wanna cut this. Then once we do that, we can snake all of the wires through this like frame rail. I have all like the electrical tape stripped off, and this connector is the ABS connector, and we do not need this anymore. So I'm actually going to cut this out. I have all of the ABS junk removed from the wiring harness. It's all gross, or actually it's not gross anymore. It's all nice and clean, but I would like to direct your attention to this mess of wires that are all open. So we need to cap off these wires. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take heat shrink and I'm just gonna put it over the wire like that. And then I'm gonna cut it like farther than the wire goes. And then we're just gonna heat shrink it and then it'll be good. So for this wire, for example, this is a power wire. Heat shrink that down. And then there, we have it capped off. And now nothing's gonna touch it. Now I'm gonna repeat that step for the next like 5 or 6 wires in there, and then we're gonna be chilling. I have the wires heat shrink, and now they're like capped off, like all the power ones are capped off. I'm not worried about the grounds because, you know, ground is ground. Now what we can do, we can actually cut this where we wanna cut this, and this is gonna be super easy to put back together because all of the wires are color coded. So we're gonna have the connector sit in here, like on this little tab. I'm gonna try to like mount it on this tab. What are you thinking, like right there, Jude?
Yeah, that works.
I'm gonna start by wire. I'm gonna go through this and we're gonna cut all of this. It's gonna be so much nicer when this is in 2 pieces and it's just gonna be one connector.
Yeah.
Just
Off of it, like there's not much you're gonna be able to do about it.
what have I done? You guys can see this is the one cluster for the lights over here. This is the other cluster for the lights over here. All this harness is real nasty, so we're gonna go through this and clean it all up and actually wrap it. I am going to wrap this up and then we are going to throw this through the fender and then take it through the fender. All right, guys, so here is, this looks so much like, from where we started to this now, it's so much cleaner. Now what I'm gonna do is we are going to snake these wires in. Come on. We're gonna move on to like the second part in the video. So we have the wires ran through the fender. I'm super happy with how this came out. Well, we just cut up some wires and ran it through the fender, so it's not that big of a deal. Next video, I'll get like another like C101 connector. I gotta find a connector with that many wires in it, so we can have like a quick disconnect and just throw it in. Then, you know, I'll get some pins for that so we can wire it all in, pin it in. It's gonna be super nice. It's gonna be worth it in the long run. Now we're gonna throw on the brake booster. Like I said, guys, this is an E34 brake booster, dual diaphragm brake booster, so you get a little bit more pedal assist. And the only thing you need to do to run this brake booster, you take the stock clevis pin off of your E30 brake booster and then it'll work and you just throw it in. So we're gonna throw this in, then we're gonna throw the master cylinder on, then the brake line's on. Jude, can you hold the brake booster up there like that? Hold it up there. There's 4 13mm bolts that hold the brake booster on. We kind of had to put the camera down to put the brake booster on because there's your firewall and then there's the bracket that holds your brakes on. Or like there's a bracket that holds your brake pedal on, that whole assembly there. And the studs going through, like the 4 studs going through the brake booster, that's what like holds everything together. So that bracket kind of falls down and then it's really hard to put the brake booster on by one person because you have to like hold the bracket up, slide the brake booster in. So we have to throw down the camera real quick, but the brake booster is on. I'm tightening down the bolts. I'm gonna throw the pin in for the clevis pin and then the brake booster will be on and all good. Then we'll throw the master cylinder on and all the brake lines, and I'm gonna run you guys through all the stuff you need to delete your ABS. Now I have my master cylinder. Now this is a E32 master cylinder because this has 2 11mm brake line nuts that go into it. This is just gonna slide in there just like that. And it's gonna be same 13mm. And I'm gonna use a ridiculously long extension to put them on.
Proper mechanics.
Now for our vacuum that goes into our brake booster, we have a vacuum check valve. So this little rubber grommet, it's just gonna go down in there. It's kind of a bitch to put on. So we're just kind of like massage it in there. This is gonna go perfect, just like that. Here are the brake lines. These are custom made brake lines for this car because I have deleted the ABS. I will put a link in the description for a write-up on the ABS delete. I should have put this on before I put the brake booster on. Well, Jude was just in the bathroom. He had to do some duties. I ran the brake line that runs behind the engine. So this is the brake line that goes over, across, and behind the engine. And that goes down to your front right wheel. This is actually an OEM BMW part. I'll put the part number in the description. This is the rear T-fitting off of the back of your E30. It will work with your BMW connectors and everything, and it just tees off from your 2 fronts. All right, so this fitting right here is the fitting for your front right wheel. And then we are going to drop this down. That will go over that fitting. Those are all the way in, and then that will slide into there. All right, so now this is the brake line that goes from your master cylinder down to your rear brakes. This is only one brake line because it's one brake line that runs down to your rear brakes and then it tees off just like it tees off in the front. Like, I try to do videos where, you know, everything's gonna go together easy. It's gonna be a nice video. No.
Stop trying to do nice things, I think is the moral of the story.
I got the bottom brake hose on. The bottom.
Yeah, you got
the bottom. The bottom brake hose on. It was a bitch. I had to bend it up, but now I'm gonna go through and tighten down all the brake hoses, and then we're gonna be pretty much done. Just snug it up, and then we're gonna tighten this one up. Ooh, this thing's coming together now. So I'm pretty happy with how that looks now that we have all the wires cleaned up and everything. So if you guys notice, might be looking a little bit different on the intake side of things. I have some velocity stacks that I just 3D printed up and I threw some paint over it. So I'm gonna send this file off to my friend Bailey, and we're gonna get something worked out where we make these out of billet aluminum or something like that. He runs a machine shop over in Central PA. So maybe in the future, I'll be driving out to Central PA with Bailey and we'll be doing some collab content with him. If you guys are interested in seeing some collab content and seeing the actual billet trumpets being made, we could probably do that. We got a lot more to come in the future. I'm super excited for what's gonna happen with the E30 here. Hopefully I'll have the wiring harness adapter in pretty soon. That'll at least be in by next week. At least be in by next week. I doubt I'm gonna have it in by Sunday. There's like a list still on this car. I still have to put the master cylinder, or I still have to put the brake reservoir on, bleed all the brakes, go through it all. Like, there's a bunch of stuff left to do. I love you guys. You guys are the best followers ever. Yo, to my followers that always comment on the videos and, like, you know, always talk to me on IG and stuff like that, I love you guys. You guys are the best. I'm just gonna end it out here. I'm tired. I'm ready to edit this video and go to bed. So there's nothing else to say, but dream so big it's scary. Peace out, and we'll catch you in the next one. Boom.